The truth is out there. Knowledge is power. This is the Prepper Podcast Radio Network.
Welcome back to another edition of the Eagle's Nest on a Monday night at 6 p.m. We are here every Monday night, or as often as we can be. Tonight's topic is kind of viewer's choice. We're going to kind of ask you guys what you want to talk about. And excuse me, I've been out working in dust and stuff a little bit today, so I got some stuff in my chest. So if you hear me coughing, that's why. But we're going to ask you guys for what you want to hear, and we'll see if we can't cover it. I know a lot of times we go through political stuff, we go through prepper stuff, we go through all kinds of different things. So, I mean, you can't hear me on the radio.
What?
This happened last week too, Judy.
Oh, man.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hopefully this is working because last week it did the same damn thing.
Took a shit last week.
Hold on a second. Judy, can you hear me now? You hear me? Okay, well, James Porter's going to hear me because you're on. James, I'm actually doing a podcast, so you can hear me on the video. I'm fine. I understand you guys can hear me on that. Judy, can you hear me now on the podcast? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started anyway. So I think I know what Ryan wants to talk about.
Going on out here.
We had a big issue last week with Facebook and with Blog Talk Radio and everything else. And it was a complete mess. They had us cut off for probably 10 minutes on Facebook, and they had us cut off for a little bit longer than that on Judy. Type what you want me to do. You can't hear me, or you can't. Can you hear me or not, Judy?
Yeah.
Am I coming through on Blog Talk? I'm waiting here. Now you can hear me. Okay.
Okay, we're good.
So don't touch anything. Everything's good. Everything's working. So, and we're only 2 minutes in. That's a good thing. We're making progress. So basically, we're going to ask you what you guys want us to talk about tonight. We've had different topics over the few months, and there's a lot of things going on in the world. They're saying North Korea is not going to denuclearize, but yet they had a parade today. They had no missiles in it. There's all kinds of different stuff going on. They're still working on the Kavanaugh hearing, things like that. So people that are watching us on Facebook, it's up to you. What do you want us to talk about tonight? You give us an answer, and we'll see what we can do. We're probably going to take some more calls. Apparently, there's a big delay. What's going on, Kathy? It looks like there's a big delay between what I say and what people hear. So, okay, there's a good one. We can talk about 9/11. That's actually a good one to talk about. So, obviously, in 2001, on tomorrow's date, we had one of the biggest devastating attacks we've ever had in this country. And it was perpetrated with airplanes. If you've ever been to an airport and you know what you have to go through nowadays, you can thank the terrorists that caused the attack on that day. It took a little under an hour and a half, 2 hours for the towers to fall after the first plane hit. Mm-hmm. And we still should be remembering that every day. We should have that in our faces every day, reminding us of what happens whenever we piss off another country or we let people in here that we probably shouldn't let in here. Yeah. I've been fortunate enough. One of my good friends, Carlos Carrasco, was able to give me a piece of one of the buildings. It's not much, but when you hold it in your hands, it is a stark reminder of what can happen. You haven't held this yet, have you?
No. Can I lick it?
No, I wouldn't lick that.
That's steel.
It's part of one of the buildings that collapsed. So, they destroyed what would be considered a modern marvel with the Twin Towers. And it wasn't the first time it was attacked. It was just the first time it was attacked in the manner that it was attacked in. obviously the Pentagon and the plane that went down in Pennsylvania. So, there was more than just 2 airplanes, and we trained them. That's how lax we were security wise back in 2001. We actually trained those people to fly. We trained them how to run the airplanes. We trained them and taught them how to do certain maneuvers. And the one thing we should have paid attention to was the fact that all those people dropped out of their schooling before they learned how to land. That should have been a huge, big red flag for the CIA, FBI, NSA, whoever was involved at the time. So, I believe that I don't think that we're going to have, well, I can't say we won't have, but I would hope that we won't have another attack like 9/11, at least on that scale. But we're inviting in the same people that committed that attack to begin with.
Yeah.
And we're doing that with open arms.
Yeah.
And the political left is absolutely adamant about letting those people in here. And with all the things that we've done overseas in other countries, I hate to say this, and you're going to get pissed at me, but who can blame them? They're pissed at us because every time we go over there, we're getting in their countries and we're screwing with them. So you can almost look like 9/11 was retaliation for some of the crap we pulled.
Well, what about the same thing they've been doing in Europe and Canada? I mean,
there's no excuse for that. But if you look at all the wars we've been involved in and what we've taken from those countries, we went over there. We took the oil from Iraq, Afghanistan. We've been at war pretty much since the mid 90s over there.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have troops over there. We still have a presence there, and they don't want us there. And I'm kind of wondering, what? We let them take care of themselves, and we keep being the world's police. We're gonna see some stuff happen. And, if you look at what's going on in Europe and Britain and things like that, we weren't alone when we went over and hit Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan and those places. We had help.
Yeah.
So, they could be taking this out on them. What I believe with all the people coming over here, over to Britain and everything else, it's not so much refugees, it's an invasion. And if you look at all the stuff that's happened in Britain and even Norway and Sweden and all these other places, they're not just going there to flee war-torn countries. They're going there to take over those other countries. They're when they come over here, they're trying to impose their law on us.
Yep.
And Linda Sorosow, whatever the hell her freaking name is.
I don't think that's her name.
The idiot that was in the Kavanaugh hearings that got arrested, she literally is pushing for Sharia law in this country. We cannot ever let that happen. For one, the Sharia law is not compliant with the Constitution, which, our groups that we run with are constitutional groups. We believe in the Constitution as it was written, and we believe that the men who wrote those words on that piece of paper were brilliant people. So we cannot let them continue to come over here and dictate what they want in their terms.
Yeah, just if they can't assimilate, well, then go back to where you're happy. That sounds fair to me, right?
Well, you can't expect another country to bow down to you whenever you're fleeing a country supposedly to come over here for safety.
Mm-mm.
Now, if you're coming over here for safety, there's a lot of other places in the Middle East that you could go. You could go over to Saudi Arabia. They've got tents set up. It's in the same damn area that, the same climate, same basically geopolitical area that you're coming from. Think about that. Now, there is differences in Muslims. There's, Sunni and Shia and I don't know how many different tribes there are, and they don't always get along. But you know what? At least over there, everybody knows who everybody is. Over here, we can't tell whether or not they're lying or not. The FBI has let certain things happen, like the nightclub shooting in Florida. They had that guy more than once under their radar, and they let him go.
Or the guy over there in San Bernardino.
Yeah, the guy in San Bernardino. His wife was basically the one who supposedly turned him against the rest of the country. But regardless, now we do have domestic terrorists as well. Evidence with a lot of the school shootings. We had the Vegas attack, which we're not all convinced that that's actually what happened, mainly because the police department in Vegas and the FBI are not really releasing a lot of the details on that. But for the most part, they don't like us. They don't like our way of living. They don't like the Christian. They don't like our churches. They don't like other religions. They
don't like any religions except
other than their own.
Yeah, they don't like Jews. They don't like Catholic. They don't like any of them.
No. and in fact, it's actually here's a stark example. Okay, we're allies with Israel, and the Palestinian people don't like Israel, and they're ready to wipe them off the map. I mean, there's always fighting over in Israel and Palestine, and every time you turn around, one country's bombing another. And Israel is one of our allies. They have been for quite a while. They have done some stupid shit, I will admit that, but they're still an ally nonetheless now, and we have to back them up when we can. But and if you look at all the mass shootings in the last 10, 15 years in this country, most of them have been, at least from my standpoint, maybe it's the media twisting it or whatever, but most of them have been people from other countries coming over here and doing what they've done. And they've been big mass shootings. Now, again, we have had domestic terrorism. I've actually met two people that actually had committed a terrorist attack way before it happened. 2 weeks before the shooting at Columbine, I had sold bowling pins to those two kids. I had dealt with Michael Moore when he was trying to shoot his stupid movie Bowling for Columbine. I was kind of a little bit in the know on all that stuff as it was going on. But 2 weeks prior to the shooting, now here's another thing that the media does. They twist a lot of crap. So 2 weeks before the shooting, the two kids had done PE in our bowling center all year long. And this was toward the end of the school year. They were having their spring fling or whatever you want to call it. They were getting ready for prom. And they had senior skip week. Well, while they were setting up for prom, these two kids had set up a bunch of pipe bombs in their lockers. They'd done a whole bunch of stuff, set up stuff in the commissary, and they were planning this thing for a while. Well, when they came to me, or they came to our bowling center to buy pins for bowling for shooting practice, you couldn't tell that these two kids even hung out together. One kid dressed like like he was in the mafia. He had a long trench coat, black hair. The other kid dressed like Rambo. He had camo on. And they hung out with two different crowds. Well, these two struck a deal together, and they went out and they committed the shooting in Columbine. We literally knew who they were probably 5-6 hours before even the public knew, because those two kids were the only two kids that didn't show up for class that day. And the vehicles that the police department had described were the two vehicles that the kids drove to and from the bowling center. The only reason I even knew that was because we actually helped them load the bowling pins in their cars. So, we do have a lot of problems in this country, but a lot of things can be solved if we were to just quit screwing with other places. We can't be the world's police anymore. We can go over, if somebody's threatening our allies, we can go over and help them out. But for us to go over to another country and tell them what they can and can't do with their own population, with their own land, things like that, it's just not working. And it hasn't worked for a long time. You've been overseas, haven't you?
Not there, no.
Okay.
No.
They don't like us. If you've ever listened to Stephen Gurn, okay, Stephen Gurn is a...
Listen to anybody. I'm not sure.
Nothing I can do, honey. I'll just do the radio, the thing. I'm getting a note that Blog Talk can't hear me. Nothing I can do about it.
That's the radio?
Yeah, for some reason the phone call's not going through. I don't know what it is.
NSA.
So anyway, let's go back to 9/11. So, I'd like to know, post on here on the video, where were you at whenever you heard about 9/11? Where were you at?
I just woke up and I turned on the news, and Literally, they were just broadcasting on that the first building was hit. There was news cameras everywhere. And then I seen the second one hit, and then and then Pentagon and what have you. But yeah, that's it's probably a good idea for us to stay out of other countries' business. But we're America, so probably not.
Well, even since this country was founded, we've kind of nosed around in other business. I mean, we wouldn't be the country we are right now if we wouldn't have stood up to other countries. Obviously, we stood up to the British and pushed them back, and we became the United States. So, with that said, we need to learn from our mistakes. There's been several different wars we've been involved in that we did not win. If you look at Vietnam, we were days from winning that, but we didn't know that at the time. You talk to the Viet Cong and the generals back then from the other side, and they admit that we had them on the run. We had them not knowing exactly what was going to happen, and we pulled out.
Yeah.
And that could have been a mistake, but at the same time, it needs to be a learning lesson.
It wasn't our war anyway.
No, and we do that more often than not. We get into somebody else's conflict, and then we end up paying the price for it.
Yeah.
We send good men and women overseas to fight battles that they probably don't even understand. Unfortunately, they're told what to do. They go over and they do it.
Well, like Iraq and Afghanistan, they're going over there, but it was pretty much for the oil. We got the oil, and then everything's kind of calmed down. We're still doing, security sweeps and, we're acting like we're doing stuff, but we really don't need to be there.
Well, again, we have to learn from our mistakes, and history tells us the mistakes we've made. And if you look at the political left, every time they turn around, they're trying to erase our history.
Yeah.
And it's gone so far now where, if you're 17 years old or if you're 16 years old, people that are driving right now don't know anything about 9/11
or the Constitution
or the Constitution or anything like that. Even if they're 18 years old, they're not old enough to remember what happened on 9/11. And they've grown up in basically a police state as far as the country goes.
Yeah.
Because now they got to go through baggage checks and
they're used to it.
They're so used to it and so programmed that they don't know what life was like before 9/11 happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our differences and we had some issues and stuff back and forth. 9/11 was the catalyst that brought us together for quite a while. And we knew what we had to do as a country was to go over and do what we had to do. But the pretenses of us doing it was completely false. We all know that. There was no weapons of mass destruction over there. There was never proven to be any. We went over there strictly as retribution for what happened on 9/11. And, there were some heroes made out of it. There was some, a lot of, well, I kind of look at 9/11 as almost like, or not 9/11, but the war after is almost like another Vietnam. Well, we went over, we fought a war we shouldn't have been fighting. We should have went after the people that did it. We knew who it was. In fact, we actually flew his family out of the country the same damn week.
Yeah.
His son, I think is one of the wives or something.
Mm-hmm.
We flew them out of the country the same week. We knew who they were.
But it was never about retribution or getting even. It was about literally a point in history where we could use that to get their oil fields.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can almost prove it because Bush at the time, if anybody knows how his family made their money, they started in oil. They started, that was kind of like, it's the perfect scenario. It gives you reason to go over there, take all the oil, control the stock market. You go ready to sink all your millions into it. I mean, you're gold. As far as I've heard that he's the richest man in the world. And being ex-president, I don't think we'll ever be able to find out what his bank account looks like, but I'm sure it's pretty hefty.
You're talking about Junior?
Bush,
Junior?
Yeah. Junior.
Yeah, well, Junior, I think, and this is what I hear from a lot of people, Junior plays dumb on a lot of things, and he sounds like a redneck when he talks.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds like a complete idiot. Trump sounds like a scholar compared to sometimes what Bush sounded like. But a lot of that, I think, was an act. He plays the lovable president is kind of what it was. He did some stupid things, but regardless, he wasn't that stupid. He became a president. he won the people over, and then he goes over and he does this. So, he wasn't dumb. He was raised by Bush Sr., and Bush Sr. kind of did the same thing. Bush Sr. could not wait for Ronald Reagan to get out of office. He was a decent vice president, mainly because Reagan kept him in check. As soon as Reagan was out of check, Bush was all over a bunch of different stuff. So that's my opinion. Yeah, I'm entitled to it. I don't know what you think about it.
I'll just stay neutral. Yeah. Oh, I did want to mention that France got rid of you don't need to be any age to have sex now.
Yeah, they
no age. I think you got to be like 5, and then you can.
I thought it was like 12 or something.
No. I think it's because they didn't like the fact that they were going to impose 11. I think, and so they just said, okay, no age. So there's no age for in France.
So I got good news for all you pedophile priests. Now you can go to France.
Yeah. So
leave us the hell alone. Get the hell out of the country.
And I'm sure America is going to try to adopt these things because
only California.
Only California
and New York.
Yeah, New York. Oh, Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know. Chicago's about ready. I think Raul Emanuel from Chicago is leaving Chicago. He's not running for mayor again.
Yeah. And they're asking for help now. I believe. Right.
They have been for a couple weeks. They want to bring the National Guard in.
Well, that doesn't take the president to do that. That's
it's the governor.
Yeah.
The governor has to do that.
Yeah.
So you got all this kind of stuff, but again, 9/11. Tomorrow's the anniversary of it. It'll be 17 years. And, I don't know, again, where I was at on 9/11 was I was actually driving a truck for Schwann's ice cream way back when. And I remember going door to door to people's houses. And I walked into one door, and this lady was sitting at the door. She answered the door, and she goes, "You got to come see this." And, of course, these are people I've seen weekly. And she invited me in, and she had this big, huge 60-inch TV. And so I sat there, and I was literally in shock. I'm like, what happened? And at this time, only one plane had hit. There hadn't been 2. Well, in between me stopping in her house and going to the next one, the second plane hit, so I didn't get to see it. But by the time I got to the second house, at first they thought it was an accident. There was a lot of speculation of what happened.
The Pentagon.
Then the second plane hit, and it became super apparent that we were under attack. And nobody really, at the time, nobody knew who it was. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know if it was North Korea. We didn't know if it was the Russians. We didn't know if it was what the motive was. I think a lot of people in the back of our heads kind of had an idea. But that moment in time, when you find out that we're under attack, you start getting really, you start really paying attention to your surroundings. And even I was in Kansas when all this happened. So whenever they grounded all the flights, I got to see one of the last flights I ever flew into. What the hell was it? It was one of the airports in Kansas. They actually flew a 747 into a small airport to get it on the ground because they had all the jets up flying around looking for things. They were escorting jets down. They were doing all kinds of different stuff. And then days later, you start hearing about the heroic actions of the flight that went down in Pennsylvania. And you didn't really hear a lot of details on the one that hit the Pentagon. That's the one nobody really knows about. There's video evidence of the ones that hit the World Trade Center.
No video of the Pentagon.
There's nothing of the Pentagon. I mean, there's like a quick snippet of one video, and you can't tell what it is. And if you look at the Pentagon, it doesn't look like a plane strike. There's no wings anywhere. There's literally nothing. It just completely evaporated. Same thing in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's just a hole in the ground. There's nothing there. So I think they found plane parts and stuff like that at the World Trade Center whenever they were digging through the rubble. But it was ridiculous. I mean, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories going around about it. The fact remains, whether or not we did it, whether or not anybody else did it or not, it was still something that happened on this planet. Okay.
I don't know.
You're going to talk a little bit.
I don't know where to go with that.
I'm try and call Blog Talk again.
Okay.
So he's going to talk about.
I guess I'm going to talk about stuff. I don't know what. Well, let's. 9/11. I will. I'll say. Let's all keep in mind all the people that we lost and horrible tragedy. Hopefully it's never. What's this? What is this?
My
thing?
phone's going crazy
I
all of a
see
sudden.
Hopefully we never have to deal with something like that magnitude again. But the more refugees and more people that we let into this country, I mean, the odds are it's probably going to bite us in the ass eventually. They're already, trying to shut down Subways because they serve bacon. They're arguing about that. They don't like that we have dogs. They think those are filthy animals. There's a lot of things that they're going after our churches, our crosses, anything that offends them. They're trying to shut it down.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Was I not talking to anybody?
No, you're good.
I don't know.
Keep going.
Oh, so yeah, the more of these refugees from the Middle East that we keep letting into this country, it could be very detrimental to the way America is, our safety, our children. I mean, it may not seem like a lot when a pissed off guy doesn't like how the country that he's in now lives. So he gets a box van or whatever and goes running over people, and you think, well, it's just 9 people. But then you start adding up over time, the little shooting here, the 9 people there, the things that keep adding up. It's going to lead up to something a lot bigger. And they're going to start getting more organized. They already have mosques everywhere. What do you think they're doing in there?
They've taken over cities.
They're literally training and learning to kill Americans. I mean, American kids are learning, whatever they're learning at school, their kids are learning how to kill us. And I'm not saying all of them are like this, but definitely you can tell by just their disdain and hate for certain things that we do. It doesn't matter whether it's religious, whether it's our dog, our food, whatever. You could see the utter disdain that they have. It just the disgust that our women are at the beaches in bikinis and stuff like this. It's a list. I could go on all day, but it's going to bite us in the ass if we keep trusting these people.
Well, and another thing too, and just recently, and we all have known this, the people that follow us and stuff, we all know this. There was a training camp, essentially,
New Mexico,
down in New Mexico, where a kid had been killed.
Yeah,
and he had been missing for a while.
Yeah,
and they had basically killed him in a ritual. And
so they say.
Well, that's what they say, but it doesn't really matter.
The
fact is that a father killed his kid, and they were training other kids to shoot up schools.
No, that is true.
So regardless of what happened, okay, so we didn't even hear the whole story, because what happened was they went in and they arrested these people. They blew up their compound. The FBI or the sheriff's department or whoever went in, blew it up, killed all the evidence, and then they were in jail for a week, and they got released. Now they're back in custody of the feds.
It was a technicality.
Well, it's because they didn't get prosecuted within 10 days.
Yeah.
And, what ended up happening was, the feds ended up picking them back up after they were released. Thank God the feds stepped in, because if not, I mean, literally, how many lives are you putting on the line?
Maybe sanctuary city status.
And the thing is how far did they get with the kids? The kids didn't get arrested. The kids are, I'm sure, needs to be institutionalized and reprogrammed, because, the adults got arrested. They're going to go away. But how far along do they get with the kids? Are they ever going to be able to see a public school? Are they ever going to be able to, see the light of day? It's the kids that end up getting the brunt of this.
Radicalized.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, regardless of what happened, we have to, as American citizens, we have to really start paying attention and start watching what our neighbors are doing, what our other citizens are doing. And, you see something, say something. And I think we need to start, there needs to be a whole different level of police work done to start really doing a lot of this stuff. If you look at the UK, Sweden, Norway, places like that, we are seriously in a dire need of some real people leading each country. Because right now, the idiot that's over there in London, they actually call it
Oh, you mean their Muslim mayor? Or whatever
London. I can't remember. Londonistan or something like that's what they're calling it now.
London.
They are. He allowed the mayor of London allowed a President Trump float to fly in front of the Parliament and all this other crap.
Yeah.
Well, someone else did one. They flew
Him in a bikini.
Yeah, they flew him in a bikini. It was actually a pretty good float, I actually thought. But you know, they don't have the same rights over there that we have over here. If you do anything regarding free speech, you're liable to get locked up. Tommy Robinson is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
You know, he was reporting on basically Muslim. No. He was reporting on Muslims that were basically, I don't even know what the coaching kids, or they were
Just
they were
Sharia
preparing
law
kids. Well, no, it wasn't Sharia law. They were actually they were rape gangs, but they were basically preparing the kids or the women for it. They were teaching the women, or they were there's a word for it. I can't think of the name of it.
Rape?
No.
Sex trafficking.
Grooming. They were
Grooming.
grooming.
They were grooming for sex trafficking. Okay.
No, not sex trafficking. For rape.
Just grooming the women for rape?
They were rape gangs, and they were grooming them, the women and everything over there. And that's what Tommy Robinson, and these are people that had been arrested. He was reporting on people that had been arrested and let out. And he got thrown in jail. He was in jail for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And not only did he get thrown in jail, he got moved into a Gen Pop
with the Muslims.
A general population prison, and got put in there with him. And most people thought he was going to die.
Yeah, they said he ain't going to make it.
He got out. He had lost like 20, 30 pounds. He was really skinny, but he finally got out.
Yeah.
But there was a lady that was over here doing a speech. I just watched her video tonight. I can't think of her name, but she was explaining everything that happens over there, from the no-go zones to what the women can wear and what they can't wear.
Mm-hmm.
And she was covering it from Sweden to London to Paris to all kinds of different things.
Everywhere.
And she said, literally, you're more likely to get acid thrown in your face in the UK than you are in Iraq, Afghanistan, and places like that.
Well, yeah, because they have guns there.
This is true.
They don't need acid.
Well,
Did he shoot you?
And knives. Now they got friggin', they've already gotten rid of all the guns over there. So now they have, now it's knife attacks and acid attacks and vehicle attacks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is not muted. I've already checked. Just so you know, Judy.
Hey, on a happier note, Judge Kavanaugh is going to be put in there pretty soon, and then hopefully we could start getting the Supreme Court to rule on some stuff, fix a lot of this crap that's going on out there. Start ruling on our Second Amendment, our free speech, everything else. Normal everyday stuff that other states take totally for granted.
Well, here's what I think we need to do. And if we're going to ever win California back, now keep in mind, Trump is at risk for losing the House and the Senate. If that happens, the first thing that they're going to do is try and impeach him.
Yeah, they know that if they impeach him, then guess who steps forward to take his place?
Yeah,
Pence.
But,
Pence could become president, and then he could just basically drop all charges from President Trump, and then he could reelect Trump as president, and there we go. We're right back.
They're not going to do that crap. They're not going to do that crap. Anyway, basically, what needs to happen? Now, I see a lot of people in other parts of the country that just basically say, screw California. Well, you know what? I happen to live here. He happens to live here.
My family lives here. Your family lives here.
We make a living. It's very sparse, but we still make a living here. We have family here. There's things that we don't want to leave. And, down the road we may leave, but the thing is, if you ever follow this Q guy, and I know a lot of you guys do, and some of you guys think it's full of shit. I kind of personally think it's full of shit, but he's got a saying, where we one go, we all go. Okay. That's the same attitude that we need for other people in this, and especially our neighboring states. No. In our neighboring states, that's the slogan that you guys need to start taking. And we need help in California.
Yeah.
We can't do it by ourselves. I guarantee you we can't.
We're trying.
We need help in this state.
We're trying.
If you guys can sit back and say what you want about California, but the good men and women that are here that are fighting every chance we get against legislation, against the stupid laws and the tyranny that we see every week, going out to events and going out and doing all kinds of stuff.
The new straw laws. Yeah,
I mean,
on, man.
literally, it's gotten so insane that we could use some help. Our neighboring states, Arizona,
Nevada, Oregon,
Idaho, places like that. We need to get you guys over here and help us take it back. Because I tell you what, everybody lives in this country. California is still a part of the union. We haven't left. Nothing else has happened.
Not yet.
Unless this damn state falls off in the ocean, it's not going to happen.
Or they secede or whatever.
They're not going to succeed.
No.
They got to get permission from all 50 states or all 49 states. That's never going to happen.
Well, Governor Brown, he'll just do it anyway.
It's not going to happen. So the thing is we need other states' help. We need the people in there. Okay, Idaho just held a Second Amendment rally. This weekend. They had roughly 2,000 people. I don't know the exact count, but they had 2,000 people.
And they all showed up with their guns.
They were at the Capitol, in the Capitol building, loaded to the gills. They had mags on them. They had things loaded, ready to go. And you know what? Not a single person blinked an eye. They're a freaking state over. Come on over here. Take your 2,000 people. Come over here. We'll get, we'll set up. We'll set up and do the same thing here and take it back. I said last night on a video that I did, Ammon Bundy risked everything for their rights. The same thing with oh my God, I cannot forgive myself if I forget his name. Lavoy Finchem. Okay, he literally gave all. He's in his memory, we need to be standing up and we need to be doing stuff like that. I got a feeling, and some people have said this, we're going to have to shed blood, sweat, and tears if we're going to ever get the country back on track, if we're ever going to get the state back on track. It's going to have to happen like that. And we're going to need other states to get involved. Now, when we won this country from the British, it wasn't just one state that did it. It was everybody working in harmony. And I tell you one thing, one of the things, we have this little, I wanted to touch on this. We have this little issue in the Patriot community where not everybody gets along, and we get it. And there's infighting and there's bitching and moaning and everything else. What I seen this weekend in Idaho, 2,000 people standing arm in arm, loaded to the gills. Guess what happens whenever everybody's armed? Everybody plays nice. That's what we're going to have to start doing. Everybody's going to have to get together, get armed, and play nice. That's all we ask.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
And my Blog Talk Radio just shut off. 38 minutes in, it shut off.
It doesn't like the fact that you said
we're going to have to figure out what's going on because my phone's working. It's coming through the stereo just fine. It just doesn't like me for some reason. So we're going to have to play with that. Anyway, I'm going to continue the thing here on the Facebook Live. I'm not sure how we're going to get it over to Blog Talk, but oh well. Anyway,
that's funny.
That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to, arm up, do our thing, take the state back. Again, I said this a while ago. I think what Trump needs to do is he needs to come in and he needs to deputize everybody around. All the patriots,
everybody,
anybody that's never committed a crime, deputize us for 24 hours. That's all I'm asking. We don't need to be paid for it. Just let us go in and get the job done. It wouldn't be that hard. We could go in on a midnight session and round them all up, and that would be it. We could even go to work that day and then get off work.
Can
and
I
go
do it on my lunch break? Probably.
It wouldn't take that long.
No.
You might have to go through a few bodyguards, but
no big deal.
It would not be that hard to clean up the state. It wouldn't be that hard to go after all the unconstitutional leaders that we have here. Every law that they passed since I've been in this state's been unconstitutional. Literally, in 7 years, I don't know if I've ever seen one constitutional law passed here.
Nah, they're all pretty screwed.
I mean, we're still waiting. Okay. The Ninth Circuit Court, the only one good, bright thing that they've done was they said that open carry is constitutional. And we're still waiting on clarification on whether or not we can walk around with our guns. If we can, I guarantee you I'm going to set up a rally at the Capitol.
Hell yeah.
you know, but we shouldn't have to ask their permission. We
No.
shouldn't have to be waiting around for that clarification. We should be already doing it. We should have already done it.
Should have done it anyway. Yeah.
You know, the American Patriots back in 1776 did not ask permission to go out and take on the British.
No.
They went out and did it. They
Yeah.
went out and got their butts kicked.
And they did it with muskets.
And they did it with they did it with zero communication. All they were doing was passing notes and letters to each other.
Yeah.
Everything was done on horseback. So what the fuck is our excuse?
I don't know.
Excuse my French.
No,
What is our excuse?
no, you're 100% justified because I mean that's what we need. We need people to band together. We need to stand up against the state. The state has lost its mind. It's completely gone. And God forbid if Newsom's in there next, we're done. We are literally just like a socialist European country. We are done. I mean,
Now, you know what I said is gonna, you know, it's gonna get. Maybe we should. Yeah. It's probably not a good idea, Mike.
what?
Wear masks,
No, well, you know what? Gas mask.
gas masks, maybe.
Yeah, why not?
But the thing is listen, okay. You know, an armed society is a polite society
It's
in many
true.
ways
It is true.
because you don't. You know, if you have an inkling that the guy next to you is carrying, are you gonna do something stupid? Probably not.
Probably not.
If you know if you're carrying and you're watching everybody else, you think that they're, you know, if there's a 80% chance that you're carrying, everyone's going to be polite around you.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be open carry. If you're concealed carry and you put that in people's minds, they're going to be a lot kinder. They're going to be a lot nicer, and they're going to do a lot less stupid shit. But for some reason, the people over here don't seem to understand it. You know, they think that they can turn this into Australia. Okay, Australia, they've got no guns. I think the hunters over there can apply for guns,
I think they could have like a shotgun.
and they have to store it somewhere else other than their home.
Oh no. They can have a bolt action rifle. That's what they can have.
Well, there's certain areas over there. I'm not sure if it's Australia,
And
where it's at,
22s.
but you can have a gun, but you cannot have it at home. You have to store it somewhere else, like a shooting range or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, it's got to be in a locker.
No, I think you can have it at home.
Well, there's a country, it's a place or something.
I know Japan. I think you have to keep. Yeah, Japan. Japan, you have to keep it at the range in a locker. Yes, but you have to go through so much crap to get a gun in Japan. It's ridiculous.
Well, you know, most of the people here, at least in Sonoma County, we can't get a concealed carry license. There's a lot of other cities or a lot of other counties like Marin.
We just happen to be in that beet red part of California that
Sucks.
will not issue no CCWs. So, you know,
Supposedly our new sheriff is going to lighten that up a little bit. You know, regardless, we'll see what happens. You're still going to have to come up with an excuse. You're going to have to come up with a good reason for you to want to carry. That's remains to be seen if they're going to start allowing it. I don't think if they've allowed a single one since I've been in this state. But, you know, ever since I've been here, now I've lived in Alaska, I've lived in Colorado, I've lived in Kansas. Every state I've ever lived in has been red. So there was never any issues getting a CCW or open carry. In Alaska, you can do either or without permits. You can do any of that kind of stuff. Same thing with Idaho. You can do this without any permits. But here, you got your bodyguards that guard Newsom and
everybody.
You know, all the political wannabes here.
Yeah.
And they walk around. I'm sure they have permits or whatever they have to renew and all this other crap. But the fact of the matter is they're walking around protected by people with probably
Guns.
semi-auto or maybe even fully automatic. Boy, that sounded weird. Automatic.
Yeah, full semi-auto.
Full semi-auto.
Yeah, we're full semi-auto over here.
But they're walking around protected by these people, and they want to come and take ours away. You know, even if they were to lay theirs down, I wouldn't give mine up.
Nope.
Not a chance in hell.
Nope.
Because I know that, you know, one of my neighbors may snap and he may decide he wants to come into my house and take whatever I have.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. Now, with that said, everybody knows about Front Sight, right? If you're in this area, you know what Front Sight is. It's a place in Vegas where you can go and you can get not free, but you can go get training. It's expensive. But it is a hell of a facility. They're actually expanding it. And now I think they're actually looking for employees. They're actually looking to paying I don't know what the 50,000 a year or something like that to learn how to be a trainer on their range, which would be a cool job. Other than it's 120 degrees out there most of the year. But
Yeah.
anyway, I was thinking about this. Now, if you had somebody in California and they were out close to a desert,
Mhm.
right, or they had a lot of property, I don't know why we don't put something like that up here
We could.
in the state of California. Now, I know that they're pushing against the gun laws and everything else. Right now, I think that's a way we fight back. We build a facility like that on private property. We let people come out there and get trained. We don't have to necessarily charge. It can be a club. If you do a club, you don't have to have a permit. You don't have to have all kinds of other crap that California requires you to have. If it's a club, you belong to it. It's like the VFW or whatever. You pay a yearly dues. You go out there, you shoot.
I think California would get you through insurance. They would kill you.
It's private property. It wouldn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
They cannot dictate what you do on your own private property.
Well, within a club, I think they can.
Well,
That,
But we pay the
I'm
insurance.
just saying California's tricky like that. They'll take something that's totally harmless and seems like you want to do good for the community, and they'll screw
well, you
royally.
there's ways around certain things.
Oh, there
And
is.
so basically you do it out, in a desert type area. There's no housing around. You're not going to get reported every chance you get. And that's the problem with a lot of the private ranges and stuff like that in California now is you got, your neighbors complain about a friggin' mosquito getting damaged by a bullet going through the air at 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
Or, they hear the sound and it's scary and they want to,
They got
go hide
PTSD now.
their safe space or whatever. But you do it in a way to where you're out away from everybody else. You use Front Sight as an example, and they literally have got no excuse. Front Sight teaches everybody how to do things correctly. They do things safe, and there's never been an incident at Front Sight.
Oh, no, that didn't happen there. That was Arizona.
No, it was
The
Arizona.
guy got shot.
And there's never been an incident in Front Sight. They have instructors all over your butt the whole time you're there.
Yeah.
And they teach it similar to a military type training. They teach you safety. They have young people that go out there. They have all kinds of different trainings, and I think it would be a great thing to see in California. And what's going to happen is once people understand that shooting is both a fun sport and it's good to protect yourself with, people are going to start snowballing. But again, it takes someone to have the initiative and to have the money and have the property to do it. Why it's never been done here, I don't know. You could do it on top of a mountain range, or you could do it out in the desert. Either place. But I know Front Range is like 170 acres, so it doesn't take a lot of money, or it doesn't take a lot of property. But you want a nice flat area. You want to be able to shoot a distance. I think I heard they can shoot up to 800 there. But you could also use that as a training facility for cops, for things like that. There's all kinds of different ways you can do things, and there's ways around it. I mean, we've trained at some of the places here in Northern California, and we got away with it. It's on private property. You just don't, if you lived on the property, they can't say anything to you. They literally can't, unless you're around other houses, other homes, neighbors like that bitch. That's why you find an area that out close to the desert that you can buy, and there's plenty of places to do it. You could even do it in Nevada and Reno, out in the Reno area. Bring people from California out there, and I'm telling you right now, Front Sight makes a lot of money.
Of course
And
they
the
do.
fact that they're actually hiring is a huge plus, and it shows how Americans like their guns. So it sounds like we had technical difficulties again with the radio show. I wish we didn't. I have to figure out what's going to happen with that. But here soon, I did a video on this last night in the studio. Here soon, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing our radio show, our podcast, from a different venue. We're going to have a studio set up. We're looking for some things. We're looking for a nice big desk to set up, so he doesn't have to sit back here.
I don't mind sitting back here. I mean, you're front and center up there. You look good.
I always look good. But there's going to be some changes coming. We're going to have a little more room to move around.
We're gonna dance.
It's just something that we figured we were going to expand a little bit and make it a little bit more professional. This kind of started off as a trial thing for me. I wanted to see how well I could do it. Talking for an hour is a lot more difficult than what most people realize,
No way.
especially if you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes we can get it pretty funny. Sometimes we can have some pretty good shows. So with that said,
Do we take calls today? I don't know.
I can't because
Oh,
Blog
we're
Talk's down.
broken. I forgot.
Yeah.
So we just take up all the time now.
Well, you know, we got about 10 minutes left on the
We
show.
got 10 minutes. All right.
We are on YouTube as well. And whenever I do the YouTube thing, it shares it to Twitter. That's getting through there. But you know, we got to support the president. We got to support the people who are running for office here in California. Yesterday, I went up to Lake County and listened to Mark Muser and Judge Bailey and a few other folks, and they have a pretty good outlook on the way California is looking right now. I guess if you haven't heard, I'm sure most of you have, Obama was in Anaheim a couple days ago. He rented an arena that had 10,000 seats. He had 900 people show up. So, you know,
That tells
they're
you
losing
something
their
right there.
message.
Yeah.
They're literally losing their
I
message.
did want to tell everybody, I don't know if they already heard, but he takes credit for what's going on in the economy. But then on the other half of that, if we're doing so bad, why is he willing to take
The credit for it.
for it? I just, you know, one of those
The
things. I
Democrat
don't know.
Party is full of hypocrisy.
Why would you take credit for bad shit? I
Yeah,
just
it's
don't
like
get
this
it.
Ocasio chick that's in New York. She's actually a raging lunatic. I
Oh,
swear
the
to God.
socialist lady.
If you look at these people in the eye, you look at their expressions. They literally are like they need like a padded suit.
No. All they have to do is watch the Kavanaugh hearing. That's it. That'll tell you what you need to know.
Well, there's actually one picture on there that the Democrats are trying to take down.
Oh yeah, the guy, the bloody thingy.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Was that a guy?
Menstrual blood. I don't know.
I couldn't tell if it was a
I
guy
can't
or-
tell if any of them are guys or women. I honestly don't know. They want to be, you know, pretty. I don't even know what the hell
They're
the
very
word.
unique.
Yeah, that's a word.
Unique. And I'm not saying that in a good way. I'm not talking about like a diamond or something.
Yeah, and the thing is we have. Yeah, exactly, Sue. She looks like Charles Manson.
Yeah,
looks like she drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, she did drink the Kool-Aid.
You know, it's almost like she's the kind of person that's like waiting for the Hale-Bopp comet to show back up. She's ready to beam herself up.
Yeah, she got the big bug eyes with that shit-eating grin on her face.
I've never seen anyone that. Well, actually, I have, but I haven't seen anybody in any of the races that literally looks like she does. I mean,
It's crazy.
It's. I mean, the expression on her faces or on her face should tell you everything you need to know about the person. She's like insane. Jim Carrey has now come out now and said that they need to stop apologizing and they need to embrace socialism.
Which is cool because
I'd love
Yeah.
to send him over
You-
to Venezuela right now.
No. Him first. Well, I want, like half of what he's got.
When's he going to start putting up $1 million homes? When's he going to give me $1 million or him $1 million?
Yeah, I could use some monies. I like monies.
Socialism only works for the people who are running the country.
Yes.
We all know that.
Yes. Does not work for the people that are
In the
trying
country.
to make it. I mean, if I have to, I'll eat my dog, but hell, I'd rather not.
I'll eat his dog. I won't eat mine.
I'll eat your dog. We'll just switch. I'll eat your dog. I don't care.
You can't eat my
rat.
dog.
Huh?
My mother-in-law ain't got nothing to walk around with.
Well, hell, I gotta live though.
And if we eat the little dog, it's only like a chicken, so you're gonna starve.
Yeah, but it's like hot dog. Yeah.
I don't know. I think anybody that embraces a system like that, and then you look at the same country that's running that system, and you see the people out in the streets digging in trash cans, fighting for food from animals in the streets, and they still support that.
Well,
You've got to screw loose
Socialism's never worked.
anywhere.
It has never ever worked, and they always say, "Well, this time it's going to work." But don't be fooled by this shit. It's a lie. It's just bullshit. Capitalism has worked 230 years now, and
Right.
it's worked steady. We've rose to power over the whole world. So just think about that.
Well, and think about, okay, so communist, socialist, whatever you want to say. Back in the 60s, we shot communists.
Yes.
If they were communists, we took them out and shot them.
Yep.
what happened to us? Did we decide, oh, well, maybe that's the wrong thing to do? Well, let's be friends with those people.
Let's invite them
I
over.
could see that. But instead of being friends with them, why not turn them to our ways? Why not teach them that their ways are wrong and bring them our ways?
Because there's no money in our way.
Capitalism?
Well, there is if you're willing to work for it.
Well, shit. I mean, goddamn, imagine that.
If
you actually got to work for something.
Yeah. If you work for it, yes, there's money to be made. But if you want to just sit and sell uranium to Russia and then, put it through your GoFundMe page, well, then, or however. No, she's got a foundation.
Well, here's the thing, okay?
Whatever.
Even in socialistic countries, okay, someone had to build the homes. Someone had to build, the system. They had to build the economy. They
It
had
all
to do all this.
started with.
So there's always someone working.
Well, it always started with capitalism, and
Oh.
it turns into it's just like Rome and everything else. It started with capitalism. It built up, and then they got confused in their own shit, and it turns into a democracy. Blah blah blah, and you end up with all.
But here's how you tell how good socialism is. Look at who instituted it in your country. Look at how they turned out, and then look at the people below them. That's how you tell whether or not socialism or a economic group works or not. If the person that came up with it is living high on the hog, and the people that are following it
Are low on
are
the
fighting
totem pole.
dogs in the street for food, it's probably not the best
That's a
system.
good indication that it's bad. I mean, come on, we're Americans. We're not stupid.
Socialism's only good until the person who came up with it runs out of money.
I honestly can't even believe we're debating whether socialism is good in America. I can't even believe that's coming up, and people are taking this serious. Like, well, maybe we should give it. I just can't believe this.
Well, I can't. What I can't believe is I can't believe you got the. We have such a political theater right now. If you look at, I'm not joking when I say theater, because
It is a theater.
you look at
It is.
the actors,
Yeah.
the singers, all these other idiots that
Screw 'em
literally
all.
are high on the hog.
Screw
Okay,
'em all.
everybody supports it already has the money.
Exactly.
Nobody that supports it
Well,
has
wait
money.
a minute. Wait. Bernie Sanders didn't have anything at first. He's got some money
He's
now.
got $40 million.
No, he's got money now. But when he first jumped in there about it, he didn't have no money. He was just, I think
A
that
stupid
was,
kid, basically.
Yeah.
He was 40 years old when he got his first job, and it was in government.
I don't know what he did. I don't even care about that guy. I mean, he's worthless. From day one, I thought he was a joke. Anybody that comes in with socialism, it can't be good.
Mike Humphreys, I agree with you 100%, brother.
What'd he say?
Fuck socialism and the people that believe in it.
Yep, 100%. And tell your friends. Tell your friends that exact message, because a lot of people in California, it's all about Democrats and socialists. That's where they're trying to push this state. And I'll tell you that other states, you've seen it. The other states seem to like to follow. What are they saying?
Dean says socialism is a Ponzi scheme. I agree. It's
Yeah,
like a big triangle,
it is.
right?
It
It's
is.
the guy at the top and giving everything.
Exactly.
So by the time he gets down here to the lower guy, there's nothing left.
Yeah, the working guy, we ain't got nothing. We're gonna be eating dogs or cats, whatever.
Well, if you look at California, okay, they've already kind of switched to socialism. They're trying to turn this state into a slave state.
Yes,
They want the illegals to come over here and start working and start taking care of all this other crap, and they're not going to pay them shit. They're
That's
pushing all the
exactly-
blue collar workers out over to the western, eastern
Yep.
states.
Yep.
And they're going to get what they got. And everyone else that comes over here from like Mexico or from
Well,
refugees,
They're happy with low-paying job. They've noticed that the Democrats have noticed that taking these people, bringing them in, they're making more than they would be in Guatemala or Venezuela or Mexico. So they're happy with what they're getting here. But now it's backfiring for them in cities like San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, where they can't even afford to live. That literally they cannot afford to live. So just in them implementing it in San Francisco and these other places, it should be an eye opener that it's not working. Where you're paying $2 million to buy a 2-bedroom house that's
more like condo.
800 square feet, and these people cannot live on that, making $15 an hour. So the next push is we need 20 an hour, and then 30 an hour, and it's not going to happen. They can't afford to do it. And this is just, I mean, you guys see it on the news. You know it's happening. So, I mean, what does that tell you? The people that wash dishes and scrub the floors and toilets and crap like that, they can't afford to live there.
Well, and the ones that are coming here, they're not going to be working for all kinds of money. They're going to be coming here, working for scraps.
It's scrap.
Anything that they make here is better than what they made in Mexico.
Exactly.
It's going to be better than what they made in the country that they came from.
Exactly, because they had nothing.
And here's another thing too, that a lot of these refugees or illegals or whatever it is you want to call them come to this country. They live in huge numbers. Okay, so like you may have one house, there may be 15 people living there, or 16 people, and I've seen 8 to 10 in a 1-bedroom apartment.
I see it right over here in Roland.
I mean, that's how they're living. Is they're living, stacked on top of one another.
They got 12 cars out front, and there's literally 18 people living in the houses over here.
Exactly.
4-bedroom house. Yeah.
So, well, that's it for the tonight's show.
We're all done.
Thanks for tuning in. And
can we do another hour?
no, we're not gonna do another hour. I'm done. I love all you guys.
Yeah.
This is Sherman Tank. Here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be at a new studio.
Yep.
This is Ryan.
Yeah.
Do stuff.
Say no to socialism.
Absolutely.
Yes. Just say it loud, proud.
We need to have like a hashtag instead of the check mark from Nike.
Yeah. No to socialism.
All right. We love you guys. We'll catch you all later.
See you later.
Peace out.
I thought that was a good ending.
Say
This
no to
guy's
socialism.
offering me a job right now. He's telling me my commissions can be anywhere from 20 to 30,000. Now, this guy.
Hold on. I'm still live here, dude.
Oh, yeah.